A decade ago, LaGuardia was ranked as one of the worst airports in the world. Even Joe Biden, during his time as vice president, strongly criticized it. At the time, the airport handled 27 million passengers, and according to Joe Biden, every single one of them had a right to complain.
Modern airport. If I took you in blindfold and you took you to the LaGuardia Airport in New York, you must think I must be in some third world country. No, I'm not joking.
And this famous statement couldn't be denied. Due to its outdated structure, cramped layout, and inefficient operations, millions of travelers came to see the airport as a symbol of frustration. It was nothing short of an embarrassment for the US, not matching the country's overall standard. However, the $8 billion investment completely transformed LaGuardia Airport. It not only became a worthwhile travel hub, but was also named the best airport in the US by Forbes Travel Guide. The journey from being the most hated airport to the most loved one is like a movie full of excitement and surprises. Stick around as we explore this dramatic journey. Some parts of it will literally shock you. It wouldn't be wrong to say that the idea for this airport began with an angry customer. In 1934, New York Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia was flying back from Pittsburgh. As usual, the flight landed at Newark Airport in New Jersey. However, LaGuardia became upset and refused to disembark because his ticket stated New York. Imagine the drama that unfolded at that moment. If something like this happened today, it would have quickly turned into countless memes on social media. At that time, the pilot had no choice but to change course and fly to an airfield in Brooklyn. Upon arriving, LaGuardia declared that New York needed a new airport at that very location. He made it happen. While the airport wasn't built exactly where he had mentioned, the story marked a significant turning point in New York's history. Just 5 years later, the city had the largest airport in the northern part of the Queens borough. Construction, which began in 1937, was completed in only 2 years. Don't think it wasn't impressive at the time. Not only in the US, but it also drew attention worldwide. After all, the project came with a staggering price tag of over $40 million. As with almost every major project, it faced criticism from those who saw it as nothing more than a waste of money. However, the airport was so attractive that the public visited and paid a small fee to watch the aircraft land and take off. How did the airport lose its worldwide status over the years? The problems began when the airport couldn't keep up with the growing number of passengers. To address this, transatlantic flights were moved to John F. Kennedy International Airport. However, the demand continued to rise as more people became interested in and could afford air travel. LaGuardia did make some expansions, but they no longer solved the problem. In 1984, to combat overcrowding, the Port Authority, which ran the airport, instituted the 1,500-mile perimeter rule. Technically, this rule didn't apply if you were traveling on a Saturday. The inclusion of Denver within the perimeter was announced as part of a few other minor exceptions. However, some airlines didn't want to stay restricted, as it could lead to losing money. Local and regional elected officials fought for years to keep the rule at the airport. They wanted to ensure that people in smaller communities could still access the city. On March 3, 2015, Forbes published an article titled, "Flights between New York LaGuardia and the West Coast may not be a fairy tale." The article explained that the airport had become too small, which led the Federal Aviation Administration to impose restrictions on landings and takeoffs during any given hour of the day. As a result, the available time slots became extremely valuable, and whenever a pair opened up, airlines were ready to pay millions of dollars to secure them. At the end of the article, they wrote, "Of course, if the perimeter rule ultimately is lifted, you can bet the next complaint about LaGuardia will be that its 4 terminals, already uncomfortable during most hours of the day, have become unbearably overcrowded." Passengers also faced issues reaching the airport. On February 18, 2015, the Global Gateway Alliance released a report on the world's top 30 busiest airports for passenger traffic, ranked by how easily passengers could reach them by public transportation. And you can imagine LaGuardia was second from the bottom. Don't think the challenges were just about getting to the airport or dealing with crowds. The infrastructure had deteriorated over the years and definitely didn't meet New York's overall standard. On top of that, passengers often couldn't leave when they were supposed to, as delays were common. It was also nearly impossible for them to pass the time by connecting with friends and family or scrolling through social media since the Wi-Fi was nearly unusable. The main reason the airport didn't undergo renovations was the belief that it would need to shut down operations and would cost a huge amount of money. However, this changed in July 2015 when Joe Biden, the vice president at the time, and Andrew Cuomo, the governor at the time, lost their patience and announced the rebuilding of the airport. Before we dive into this, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We have an incredible lineup of construction industry explorations that you won't want to miss.
The goal is not really to repair and rebuild a 1939 airport, right? We want an airport that is a state-of-the-art facility. We want a globally renowned airport for the next century that is worthy of the name New York and what we're doing.
Andrew Cuomo said, "The goal is not really to repair and rebuild a 1939 airport. We want an airport that is a state-of-the-art facility. We want a globally renowned airport for the next century that is worthy of the name New York and what we're doing." And here's how the airport's journey to being ranked as the best airport in the country began. The plan involved building new terminals on top of the old ones. The process started with constructing a new section of the airport and connecting it to the old terminal. Eventually, the old building underneath the newly constructed one would be demolished. The construction of the new Terminal B in 2016 was seen as a key step in creating a futuristic airport. The idea was widely appreciated and came with a cost of $4 billion. Authorities wanted to address the problems passengers faced while getting in and out of the airport. The transparent walled bridges, elevated 65 feet above ground, allowed arriving and departing passengers to enjoy panoramic views of the skyline and airfield. The bridges were also functional, helping bring the terminal 600 feet closer to the GCP. This was a major achievement, as it made room for 2 additional miles of aircraft taxi lanes, which were expected to reduce ground delays at the airport. The new parking garage covered almost 4 acres and replaced the old garage, which was demolished to make space for the head office. It also helped solve parking issues during the early stages of construction. The new state-of-the-art arrivals and departures hall was opened in 2020, marking the biggest milestone in transforming the most hated airport into the best in the US. Soon after, the concourse and the first new gates were opened. The authorities made sure the plan included enough gates to prevent planes from having to queue up, avoiding frustrating experiences like those at the old LaGuardia Airport. In 2021, they added an exciting feature to the terminal, a new sky bridge. It not only helped improve operations, but also added a significant thrill for passengers. While it enhanced traffic flow by allowing planes to taxi underneath it, it also gave passengers the chance to see planes up close. Rick Cotton, the executive director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, said, "The innovative design of the airport provides a 50% increase in aircraft taxiways that will dramatically decrease gate congestion and gate delays, greatly reducing a major source of frustration for passengers." Terminal B was so stunning that it won UNESCO's 2021 Prix Versailles, the Global Architecture and Design Award for the best new airport in the world. In 2022, Delta Airlines Terminal C was opened to the public, covering 1.3 million square feet and featuring 37 gates across 4 concourses. It provides passengers with improved transportation access, cutting-edge security features, iconic public art, and much more. Ryan Marzullo, Delta's managing director of design and construction, stated that the design was created with New Yorkers in mind, as they demand speed and efficiency. One of the most impressive features was a large digital art installation showcasing various destinations, making sure passengers wouldn't get bored while waiting at the security checkpoint. In 2024, Forbes Travel Guide named this breathtaking airport the best in the US based on feedback from industry experts and 5,000 frequent flyers. Unlike before, passengers could now reach the airport comfortably. In 2025, you'll feel like you're stepping into a futuristic city as you check in and board your flight. Upon entering Terminal B, you'll be captivated by the state-of-the-art water feature, resembling an upside-down fountain. What sets it apart is the projection of graphics on the water. You'll encounter no issues in the ticketing or security areas and forget about being frustrated while waiting for your flight. Plenty of comfortable seating will allow you to relax while enjoying your favorite food. So, if you plan to travel there, get ready for a smooth and unforgettable journey that truly lives up to New York's high standards. The story of how an airport once seen as a nightmare became the best in the US is truly fascinating. Undoubtedly, the $8 billion construction was worth it. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on the world's most fascinating mega projects.